Okay. Let's do this one. Wow, these are low chairs. We're gonna turn this down so you can see yourself if you want. All right. Can I record? Yes. So what's your name and what do you do?
My name's Gilly, and I am a freelance writer and content creator, pretty much all around creative. I'll do a little bit of everything.
What got you into that?
So growing up, I always wanted to be a writer, and then when I first moved to New York, I was working as an editor at a food website. I started making more culinary related content, making lots of friends in the creative space around New York. And just being around that many inspiring creative people, I started to create my own kind of content and other creative endeavors. And that was like like a decade ago. And then ever since then, I've just been doing my thing. And yeah, it's been great.
It's always good to see like the highs that you have during like your creative process and seeing like the successes. But what low points have you been through in your life that have to get to where you are today?
For sure. I mean, like anyone, throughout life had moments of insecurities, you question, like, especially being in a city where there's so many people that are so creative and so talented,
Yes.
you have moments of self-doubt, like, am I really contributing, or can I live up to these other people that I admire? And just kind of, speaking down to yourself in that way, which has always been something for me to overcome and like remind myself to be confident in my skills and my creativity. And yeah.
How important is New York to your career today?
I love New York. I mean, it's, I think, one of the most amazing cities in the world, and just the energy is amazing. No matter where you go, you meet people that are so talented, so creative, so visionary in so many different walks of life and careers. And, I'm always like learning from someone new, doing something new, no day is the same. So it really helps you like foster that creative energy.
Yeah, New York's one of the most creative cities out there. But they also have some weird stuff going on.
Yeah.
Like, what are some of the weird things you've seen in New York?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I've lived there for about a decade now, and there's definitely, sometimes you encounter people that are slightly scary, or, like any city in the world, there are moments that aren't like, you might not feel the safest or, the most comfortable. But I think in general, the good far outweighs the bad. And I think most people are good at heart, and you just keep that in mind even in times where you're like, is this situation good? Is this,
Yeah, you're better than me, because when I went to New York, I think the worst thing I seen was seeing a homeless woman poop in the middle of the sidewalk in Times Square.
Yeah, the very first time, so I grew up in a super small town in Colorado, and I went to school in New York, sight unseen, had never been there, out on Long Island, and one of my good friends went to school at NYU, and so I went in to visit her. It was like my first time ever spending time in Manhattan. And the very first night, I saw a girl outside of Webster Hall pooping on the street. And I was
common.
Like, oh my God, New York is
It's common.
That was like my first impression of the city. But
that is crazy. What book, movie, or TV show character do you most relate with?
oh my gosh, good question. Ooh, can I think?
Yeah, you can think on it.
I can't come up with one right now.
Or maybe musician.
Yeah. I've always really resonated with Joni Mitchell's music. I'm a huge Joni Mitchell fan.
Yeah, you're gonna have to tell me who that is.
And yeah, so she's like a folk singer-songwriter. She was really big in like the 70s. And she just writes a lot about life and emotion and being like, an independent creative person. And her music has been really important to me. So yeah, definitely her lyrics.
Yeah.
I take a lot of meaning from those.
And you create like cooking, travel. I'll say your lifestyle is cooking and travel. What piece of advice would you give someone who wants to do what you do?
I would say, get out there and start meeting people in the creative space. I think for me, the most important thing in my career has been relationships. And whether you want to get into writing or content creation, the biggest thing is just those relationships you build. And, you never know when you could meet someone who could totally change your life and, in an unexpected way. So. Yeah.
And what's your dream?
My dream has always been to, like I said, I grew up in a small town. I never really got to see the world. I didn't have a passport till I was 22 years old. So my dream has always been to, really expand my horizons, get out there, explore the world, and be a creative and create in my own right and be my own boss. And I'm really lucky that I get to do that. I've now been to over 50 countries.
Wait, how many?
50. Yeah.
50?
Yeah.
I thought you said 15 and I was like, what? And then you said 50.
Good. Yeah. It was my goal to hit 50 countries by 30 and I did that.
Oh my God.
That was really exciting.
Congratulations on that. That's a big accomplishment. Yeah, so what piece of advice would you give to your younger self?
I would say just be confident in your abilities. I know it can be scary, especially like I said, I moved to New York without knowing anyone there, never having set foot there. And there were definitely moments where I was like, am I crazy for doing this? Moments of, will I ever have a career? Will I be able to make it on my own? Being totally independent.
You're speaking my mind every day I wake up.
Yeah. And just, telling myself to be confident in your abilities and that everything works out as it should. And there'll be down times, but for the most part, as long as you're a positive person putting positive energy out into the world, that it'll come back to you. And
you know what? Thank you for sharing all this.
Yeah.
And thank you for saying yes. Are you ready to see it?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, cute. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for saying yes.
Yeah, of course.